The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, although a laudable project, issues of transparency and accountability should be addressed as raised by so many Nigerians. More than a decade after the idea was mooted, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road project has commenced in a blaze of controversy. The 700 kilometers highway project, designed to connect Lagos State to Cross River State through the coastal states of Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers and Akwa Ibom, has high potential investment value, and it is expected to be delivered in 8 years. However, there are questions surrounding the funding and bidding process, with claims that it lacks transparency. So many Nigerians are questioning the decision of the current government to award the contract to Gilbert Chagori's High-Tech Construction Company Limited without meeting the due process threshold of due procurement process of competitive bidding. Chagori Group is a business associate of the current president of Nigeria. So many Nigerians are also questioning the release of about 1.06 trillion naira for the pilot phase of the project, or 6% of the project fund, which begins at Eko Atlantic and is expected to terminate at the Lekki Deep Sea Port. One thing to note is that excluding the design train tracks in the middle of the proposed highway, the project will cost taxpayers a whopping 4 billion naira per kilometer. In response to the allegation and questioning, the current government has refuted allegation that the project bypasses the proper procurement process. The government noted that the contract was awarded to High-Tech because of their track record and based on a counter-funding rather than public-private partnership arrangement as widely claimed. The government actually likened the coastal project to the Abuja-Makurdi being handled by China Harbour and the road project in Enugu State, where the government is paying 50% counterpart funding. Both, according to the government, falls under the Engineering, Procurement, Construction plus Finance, or the EPC plus, which necessitates equivalent funding from both the government and the contracting company. Sadly, the government has contradicted its earlier statement in September last year that the Chagori High-Tech had the money to construct the highway and that it would be a public-private partnership. Indeed, High-Tech was to initially build, operate and transfer back to the Nigerian government after years of tolling. The government claims that the type of infrastructure to be installed on the road will determine the cost, arguing rightly that the coastal road built on swampy areas are more expensive due to the water challenges, soil conditions and other engineering inputs. The government also put the cost of the ambitious project tentatively at 15 trillion naira and at about 4 billion naira per kilometer, although the government failed to categorically state what the total figure would be. There is no doubt that the coastal road is a laudable project. When completed, it will impact positively on the national economy, particularly on the Lagos end. But it is actually very important for citizens to ask questions on how a project earlier announced as a public-private partnership operating on BOT ended up being funded by the government. Also, the Bureau of Public Procurement silence on the issue is a thing to be worried about. For a project of this magnitude, the Bureau of Public Procurement should play a critical role, especially with the claims that the project was approved by the Federal Executive Council, where due process ought to have mattered. During an interview, the government noted that at 4 billion naira per kilometer, the entire coastal project will be completed at a total cost of 2.8 trillion naira. The government also dismissed claims that the project didn't follow the procurement processes, stressing that the contract was awarded on the counterpart funding basis and not on the public-private partnership as erroneously claimed. Recall that I noted that so many Nigerians have been asking questions lately. So many citizens, as earlier stated, have wondered why the current administration released 1.06 trillion naira for the pilot phase, or 6% of the project, and to begin at the Eko Atlantic, which is expected to terminate at the Lekki Deep Sea Port instead of from Calabar. On this, the government explained that despite the soaring cost of materials in the construction industry due to inflation and supply chain disruption, the government is committed to prudence, adding that the project will be completed in 8 years on concrete pavement and 4-lane carriageway. The government also explained that although 1.06 trillion naira was appropriated, the full amount had not been disbursed. Government representative also noted that people are just building castles without knowledge and they don't know about figures. According to the government, Nigeria needed to ask what was there to be constructed, and the only available design was actually from NDDC. They had designed the entire 700 kilometers, but the government noted that they were not going to follow the exact pattern or the right of way as designed by the NDDC. The government has also made modifications. The original design had 2 carriageways on each side of the road with 4 lanes, and in the middle, they did not provide for train tracks. The middle was actually intended to be a water collecting basin. Giving an insight to the older design that was actually proposed by the NDDC, the minister noted that the entire width of the road was pegged at 59 meters on concrete, which on the old design actually sums the total amount to about 19 billion naira per kilometer. Whereas according to the government, what they have done in the remodification is that if you divide the total amount, you get about 5.167 billion naira. If you further divide by 1.067 trillion naira, you get about 4 billion naira per kilometer. So using concrete according to the government, which will be more expensive because of the kind of terrain involved, and using flexible pavement, which shouldn't stand the coastal route, you find out that the total cost of 4 billion naira per kilometer is reasonable for a road of this magnitude. So guys, to explain this further in a layman's language to us, you find out that at the total cost of 4 billion naira per kilometer, if you consider the thickness of concrete for a width of a road of 4 lanes on both sides, which sums up to 8 lanes, the type of reinforcement involved, the railway track that is actually expected to come in between, it is actually okay to note that the 4 billion naira actually budgeted for 1 kilometer is visible. Those in the construction industry will actually understand what I'm saying. It is not just about the construction. Also consider the utilities, payment for structures that will be demolished, possible inflation, construction of bridges on swampy terrains, especially in the Niger Delta region, and cost of hiring capable hands. All these I think have been factored into the project sum, which actually makes it 4 billion naira per kilometer. And to be sincere with you, the 4 billion naira per kilometer which is projected may not be visible due to the fact that there might be variation as the project advances. In the course of seeing to the actualization of this project, there are so many issues that have risen as a result of the right-of-way of the project, especially in the Lagos axis. The original right-of-way designed for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which passes through the Water Corporation Road median, remains unused, undeveloped, and still available for the highway construction. The decision of the current government to reroute this project actually raises concerns as to why it should be. Recall that the current Minister of Works stated in a recent interview that the redesign of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, originally including Water Corporation Road but now rerouted along the coastal part, was necessary to preserve the extensive infrastructure along the original route. Additionally, the accelerated sand filling along the landmark beach shoreline has caused widespread panic among stakeholders, including independent businesses, suppliers, employees, and investors. It is therefore important to note that if the highway alignment is not rerouted back to its original path along the Water Corporation Road median, which actually looks like it's never going to be rerouted back, it could therefore jeopardize various investment and infrastructure and potentially affecting over 4 billion naira in assets. I hope this video has actually educated us and given us an insight of the Lagos section of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Guys, do well to drop your honest comments in the comment section. Tell us what you think about this project. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.